made it.
I'm just scrolling through, see what some people are saying. And Ian's grabbing a cat.
I had to have some cat content for this episode because the rest of the cats are all locked inside.
Yeah.
Protesting the fact that we're not letting them out right now.
They were out all day though, so they can't be too upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we've done one of these live videos, and lots of things have happened on the farm.
News.
Oh, sorry.
I think we're
Bo's making his presence known.
Yeah, Bo loves tripods. He likes rubbing against tripods. I think we are now 4 recorded videos.
We're
behind.
We're very behind on videos.
But that's because we've been busy with.
Well, they don't even know because we're so far behind on the videos.
I know.
They don't even know why we're behind on the videos. So
multiple reasons, but we
got super sick.
We got COVID. Yeah, so that sucked, and it was like such bad timing too because it's, the busiest time of year, and then
well, could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah,
could have been this week that we got COVID, and then that would have been pretty disastrous.
But we didn't have as much time this winter to do things as we had hoped because my dad was sick and he had cancer and he passed away probably a couple months ago now, and so I had been spending lots of time back in Ontario. My parents live kind of like the other side of the country, so pretty far away, and I was going back there to help them, and Serina went back with me sometimes, and the kids went back with me a couple times, and sometimes it was just me. But whether it's just me or it's all of us, basically it's impossible to do anything when one of the parents isn't here.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to.
Just because of the way that our workflow works, where one person's inside, one person's outside, and then you can switch. So there's always kind of someone to watch the kids and do the house stuff. But when one person's missing, that person can't really leave the house in the same way. So kind of like nothing on the farm gets done. And so then finally we're kind of like, getting some open...
Sorry, if the wind is making like really loud noise on the mic, just let me know in the comments and we'll move to a more sheltered spot.
Yeah.
We're usually 0 wind, but I'm always worried about wind noise.
So we finally had a period of time on our schedule where there wasn't really anything, we didn't really have anything, that we had to do after everything kind of settled. And we had a week where, we could have started picking away at some tasks, and then we got COVID. And so that whole week was spent falling further behind instead. But we have a plan. We have a plan to get out of the hole, and I think we're going to do really well this year. I'm excited.
Are you talking about employee?
Yeah.
Well,
so we got...
Don't be cryptic, Ian.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to say some words, but we have an employee, and she probably won't be too involved in the videos.
She started today, and we haven't talked to her about that. So.
Yeah.
but
it's like...
Yeah, it's exciting, right? Because, that's just going to free up time for us to be able to do a bit more for the videos.
Yeah.
What we're hoping is to be able to ramp up to the point that we can get out 2 videos a week. Because I know all of you guys have been asking us for years to do more videos.
Yeah. And just going to be here for about 30 hours a week. And
which is a lot.
Yeah,
right?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited because, it means that we have to do a little bit more for selling. We have to take on another farmer's market a week. But I think still there'll be a net gain of us getting time back.
Yeah. Totally.
And so, that's going to be really good.
And I have exciting farmers market news, which is, I don't know if you're as excited about this, but so because we're going to be doing the Wednesdays and the Saturdays, we've achievement unlocked. We're now officially a permanent vendor.
Yeah, for the Kelowna Farmers Market Association.
This is like one of those things that's like impossible to get. There's only a handful of them, and you need to basically be going on Wednesdays and Saturdays to get it. So I'm just really excited for us to have a permanent location at the market. Just
now anyone who has to go to the bathroom has to come to us. Right?
I like our spot. Our spot is by the bathrooms, and I like it there.
Everybody's going to make it to the bathrooms eventually, right? And there's no bad
spot.
I really like
you know what? There is. The bad spots are like right beside the music.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like really loud, and then you can't talk to your customers.
The corners can be a little tough too. There's a few places that the line of sight's just a little worse. But, just the most important thing is that you're in the same spot every week. That's more important than anything else, because everybody's going to walk all around. So it doesn't really matter where you are too much. But for other reasons, the market is really good about setting up. They got like what's the beanbag toss thing?
I don't know. Oh, like they have like activities.
Yeah.
And near the bathroom is like an activity zone. Yeah.
It's kind of like a cluster of some different kid vendor, bathroom, and then like a space for kids. So, this year we're talking about bringing the kids more to the farmers market, and then, when they're bored of
cornhole. Yeah, cornhole. Totally. That's one of the games.
When they
people are liking my. This one is no longer sun safe.
This was like torn up pretty bad last year, and it was supposed to go in the garbage.
I think I put it in the garbage in our mud room, which is where we do the laundry, and then you found it in the garbage in the laundry room, and we're like, oh, this just accidentally got there.
I wouldn't.
No, and because it got cycled in to the laundry. Oh. And
it might have just got picked up.
And then I haven't sorted through my work clothes enough. But yeah, I'm not allowed to wear this, because if it's the fabric's so thin that it's like tearing, it's like, it's tissue paper, but it means that it's not protecting me.
Well, let's make it a cutoff right now.
Really? Like this?
Yeah.
Here,
look. Everybody has fun. Oh my god.
Here, I've been meaning to do this. Oh, it tore at the there.
Do everybody your pipes?
I don't have any yet.
We're still getting in farm shape.
Here, wait.
Well, pink shirt, you will be missed.
I needed to do that because I kept wearing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to wear it because it's not safe.
It
not safe.
It did its purpose.
Yeah, obviously I wore it to pieces.
Yeah.
Because I bought that. I bought that, I think, in the first year. Because I went and did men's cotton dress shirt, extra large men's cotton dress shirt shopping spree.
Yeah, I bought thrift stores.
At a thrift store. And I bought like 3 or 4 of them. And they'd been my work clothes. And that one I liked because it was the light color. And like it was like a nice cotton. Mm-hmm. But I went through the closet last fall, and apparently Ian has a whole collection of beautiful linen men's dress shirts. And I was like, well, Ian doesn't wear dress shirts, so these are my work clothes.
I'm actually allergic to collars. Unfortunately, I've had that allergy to collars my entire life almost.
Well, my win, right?
Yep, your win.
They're nice too. I like the colors. They're bright colors.
Yeah, they're fun. They'll look good on you.
Yeah. I was like, Ian, are you sure? Because these are good. You sure you want me to turn these into work clothes? And he was like, yes.
Yeah.
Fine. So. Okay, so.
We also had.
So we got sick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on track here. Okay. Because this is updates, right? So 2 weeks ago, we got COVID, and we were all sick. We were sick for a while. We were sick for like a week. Like, can't get out of bed. Too sick to do anything. And we made a vlog about it. And so we're working on that, and it's going to come out on Friday. And then last week, we didn't have COVID, but we were still quarantining just to make sure that no one else was going to get COVID, just in case. But we were like still like really low energy.
Our energy was still pretty low.
And like my voice is like, anytime I get any sort of cold, I get a cough that lasts for like months. But my voice is not there, and like me coughing is normal, but me having like a croaky voice still like quite a while later is kind of weird. But it so we had no energy, but the tulips started blooming.
Yeah.
So basically nothing got done on the farm because we were like Ian was like, okay, I'll take care of the kids with all my energy. And then I was like, okay, with all my energy, I'm going to try to harvest the flowers so that we don't lose out on any of the tulips, because you have to pick them. If they open up too much, then they go to waste. Oh no, Bo, he's coming. Bo's favorite thing to do is to rub on the tripod, but then it knocks the tripod around. So we've been harvesting tulips, and the tulips that we were harvesting were the ones in, I'm like, can you hear me? Like, I feel like I need to sit closer. Here's my voice. The tulips that we were harvesting were the ones in our greenhouse. So this year, what was it? Like 12, we have 12,000 tulips. Last year we had 5,000, and we were happy with that, but we decided we needed more, so we have 12,000 about. And how many do you think were in the greenhouse? Like
third? Quarter?
No, yeah, like a quarter. So probably like 3,000 ended up in the greenhouse. And the plan was that they would bloom at the same time as the daffodils. Oh, don't do it. Ah!
Whoa.
He's knocking. I knew he was going to do that. We have a tripod that holds the phone well, but it's not very strong. Okay, so the plan so it's an unheated greenhouse. So, even though it's unheated, it ends up getting the tulips early, about 2 weeks earlier was the plan, and like it was on track. And so, we've been harvesting like nonstop for the last, week and a half on the tulips, and we went to the market for the first time on Saturday.
Yep.
Which is part of the reason why we're doing the live video, because everyone over on Instagram was seeing all of our like market stuff, and they were like, do a live video. I can't wait 2 weeks until your market video is edited. I need to hear about how the market went. So, you gonna give a spoiler?
It went okay. It was a good start to the season. It was nice to get out there and, to be selling again. Lots of customers that, established relationships with were there, and, obviously lots of our vendors. The vendors are there that are friends of ours, just see them every week, right? And so it was fun to see everybody again. And I just really like going to the markets. Serina came down.
It was like
with the
beautiful.
kids.
Like,
yeah.
We're having a heat wave right now, so it's like summer weather. It's crazy.
So, it was a lot of fun. The tulips didn't sell quite as well as I was hoping.
Yeah, I'd been all like, be a sellout. Let's buy 20,000 next year. Mm-hmm. And now we're like, okay.
Tulips,
maybe 12,000 is a reasonable number.
Tulips, because we sold them last year was our first year being a full-on flower farm. And so my notes on tulips were, like the first things that we sold as just a flower farm. And they did really well last year, but I'm revising my notes on tulips a little bit, because Tulips don't sell themselves quite as easily as some of the other flowers, like the ranunculus. Tulips, the bouquets, the way you want to sell them is you want to sell them when they're all closed up, because that's what some people are supposed to be. Like that's what lots of people are looking for in a tulip bouquet, something that's all closed up
You sell them when they're closed. Okay.
to maximize.
I'll give the spiel. So tulips are actually one of our shortest lived crops here. Shortest vase life crops here on the farm. My goal is to grow things that have 10 or more days worth of vase life. So then even if I need to take a day or two for processing, then they're guaranteed to get a full week in customers' hands. And a lot of the stuff that we grow is more of like 2-week vase life.
Yeah.
And so, customers regularly get 10, 12 days out of our bouquets. Tulips are different. Tulips are kind of more like 5 days.
Yeah.
And some of the singles can be even shorter than that. Like we've decided to go like towards mostly doubles, just because you get about 2 extra days of vase life on the doubles over the singles. But so because of that, and then the other thing is they're very temperature sensitive. So a lot of the crops that we grow, they're drought tolerant, they're heat loving plants. No. Oh! Our cats were locked inside.
Get them right now.
Our Ian's like chasing down our wild cats. Our thing that we've been doing is they don't get dinner until they're in for the night. And they came in early today because they're hungry. So they came in to get food. And I was like, don't feed them. What if they get out during the live video? And he's like, no, they're hungry. But because they'll get out and then the sun will go down and then they become wild cats.
I can't run in Crocs.
Yeah, you know what? You need to be more careful about the cats at this time. But yeah, so our well-fed wild cat looks like he got away. Okay, yeah. So tulips are heat sensitive, right? So they have a shorter vase life, and then they're heat sensitive. Our other crops are, they're happy to be in the stand. We have an air conditioner going in the stand that keeps them like fresh and healthy, unlike the 50 degrees Celsius that it gets at the front where it just cooks things. The stand with the air conditioner does a really good job of keeping good, strong vase life. But tulips kind of need to be in the fridge until you enjoy them, because anytime that they're not in fridge temperatures, they're kind of like hitting into their vase life. So for our roadside stand, this time of year, it doesn't look as impressive because we don't keep as many bouquets in the stand, because we kind of want them to, oh, you did get them. Oh, you did it. You gonna come show them off?
Sure, but
Ian's gonna show you what a bad cat looks like. This is what a bad cat looks like. And he's displeased. Yeah, so at this time of year, we only keep, we kind of keep like 6 to 10 bouquets. Yeah, that's Dusty. We keep 6 to 10 bouquets in the roadside stand, whereas normally we keep more like 20 in the roadside stand, because we don't keep them out in the stand for longer than a day. At the end of the day, we bring them in for ourselves, basically. Because once they start to open up, and this is the thing, full circle, get back to what Ian's point is, because they're closed, they don't necessarily look like anything, right? And we know this from the stand, and we know this from the farmer's market. The ones that are the most open, which they're all exactly the same, but the ones that are the most open, which are actually the ones that, are just further along into their vase life, are the ones that sell the quickest, right? Like the customers want to grab them because they're the most impactful of the flowers. And so, down at the farmer's market, we we sent a bunch because I was like, okay, sure, like whatever, we'll sell 1,000 for sure. But I don't want to. Normally, we'd send 2,000 because the flowers can come home and still be good to sell for the rest of the day. But the tulips, after being at the market, especially on a hot weekend, we don't want to take stuff and then have it not sell. But without them being open, people don't necessarily know what they're getting.
Yeah, I think some of them are a bunch of our pink and purple ones. They showed their color a little bit more, even when they're closed up, and so people were more interested in those and they bought them first. Some of our doubles, they're just like these round balls, and they just kind of look like green round balls that haven't opened up.
Yeah, like one of our most showy and favorite tulips is yellow pomponette, which is just this gorgeous like puff of yellow, but it doesn't it's like just like the sun, right? It glows, right? But when it's closed, because it's yellow, it's kind of has the least amount of color.
So one thing that I noticed, normally we have a really high ratio of people who come up to the stand and then people who end up purchasing. And I'd say definitely on the side of the majority of the people that walk up to the stand end up buying a bouquet. It's just, we just really convert sales really well. And this past market, we sold like $750 or so. And we probably had only a quarter of the people who came up to the stand who ended up buying. So they were still coming up because they were interested. And they might have been even the same people who would buy in a different week, but it just wasn't putting them over the top. The excitement level for the tulips just wasn't quite there. And they're, like obviously $760, that's still a lot of bouquets that we sold. And that's still, those people are all going to go home and then they're going to have these amazing tulip bouquets that open up, and they're going to come back and they're going to say, oh my God, those tulips that you sold me last week look amazing. Like that's just how the cycle goes. But you also want to be able to, to get those really high numbers at the markets. You want the product just to sell really easy.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pause you there for a second to say thank you so much, Kelly. It says, this is a note of support. Always glad to see you two working together. I joined late, so just want to show my support for you both.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, and thank you. That's, very, very nice words, and we appreciate it.
So, yeah, the point...
Yeah, because the open flowers.
Yeah.
Right? So they tell your idea.
What we're going to do at the next market is we're just going to bring a massive bouquet of basically everything that we have for sale that's open. So that when
so all those, like I said, I only keep them in the stand for a day. So all those ones that don't sell, we'll keep them to open for us.
Yeah. And then we'll bring them down to the market. And then when people come up to the stand, I can be like, oh, like look at this bouquet, look how amazing all these tulips are. If you like this one, then buy this bouquet. If you like that one, then buy that bouquet. And I think it'll help me convert sales, because there's just nothing to show people what they're getting as it was. I can be like, I'd be like, all of our tulips, they're so amazing. We've been doing this for years, and we've curated, a list of kind of like just the best looking stuff. We just buy our favorite stuff now. And, this one's going to be these colors, that one's going to be those colors.
Oh, that's crazy. Frost in North Georgia.
But, it was just not converting as many sales as normal.
Yeah, and so we opened the roadside stand because we had flowers, but we kept everything shut because we wanted to be kind of like an entire week off of feeling like, once we got to the point that we weren't sick, we wanted to still kind of quarantine for an entire week before opening the stand, just because, this was our first time getting COVID, and we really tried hard to make sure we got this far in not getting COVID, so we didn't want to be spreading it at all because it's nasty. But so Friday we opened the roadside stand. I'm like, the wind. Is the wind still good? Let me know if it starts whistling, and because I hate that sound and it drives me crazy. Sorry. It's just my personal pet peeve. Thank you, Kelly. So the roadside stand we opened on Friday, and the roadside stand for the grand opening kind of period is a little bit more regular customers, right? So that's like people who knew us from last year more so than potentially the market is. But the roadside stand did really good, right? Like this weekend, the sales were pretty much as strong as what they had been over the summer, right?
I'd say it was a little bit down, but that's
but per day, right? When you consider it per day,
some of our weekends we were getting in like the 400 range, and then we'd have slow early weeks.
Yeah, but we did 500 and something.
Yeah, for the weekend.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I know, but I'm talking about in a single day.
Oh, but that was like best case scenario.
Yeah,
right.
Just,
like
by the end of the summer, we were pretty routinely getting pretty high.
We did about
single day totals.
We did about 200 on Friday, 200 on Saturday, and then 100 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was like, in my opinion, that was pretty normal, right? And I do agree with Ian. There was like times that like, you know, we had these incredible numbers. You know, we did the math. We averaged $1,200 a week on the roadside stand.
I'm just excited because we have like a business bank account that we have to keep a certain like limit on, and so that we get free transactions. And we were getting close. You know, the money just kept going down and down as the.
I'm really good at spending money.
As the winter goes on, and I was like, I really want. I don't want to move money over from the personal account into the business account to keep that minimum. And then, you know, just as we're just about getting to that limit, we had a bunch of. We're going back in the right direction. Putting money back into the account.
I better start thinking about what to buy next.
Well, I know what you're going to buy next. You're going to buy $10,000 worth of peonies.
Well, I already bought that.
Oh, well. Then...
But we don't have to pay until the fall.
Yeah.
Or we paid like 30% of it. The next thing, I haven't ordered my tulips yet, which is kind of like, ugh.
But I think we can do no more than what we've done.
12,000.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Does 12,000 tulip bulbs sound reasonable?
I think 10,000 sounds pretty reasonable too. And
yeah, but if I buy them at 1,000 per variety, don't you think we need more than 10 varieties?
No. I think we just
Let's see. We need exotic emperor. We need yellow pomponette, sunlover, double Gershnick, or whatever it's called.
I'd say we need
Miranda. We need Mount Tacoma, and that doesn't even get us anything pink, right?
Yeah.
You know, if we want to get some foxy foxtrot, or you know, any of those other ones. You know, we need some early ones and some late ones. You know, I think 12,000, right? And then like the voles will come and eat some.
Here's some exciting tulip news though. Last year we took a lot of the bulbs that we cut off of the tulips when we had just pulled them out with the bulb, and we made like a trench out front.
Okay, you need to explain why that matters, right? Like you need to like.
I'm going to.
No, but you need to explain like what you do with the tulips and the fact that they're just compost, right?
Yeah, so normally you just throw the bulbs in the compost.
Okay.
Because they're not.
I will, but let me tell the backstory. The backstory is important. Okay, so when you have a cut flower tulip, you pull it out with the bulb attached, and the bulb is garbage. You like break off the bulb because you want, you know, they look this big. Yeah, above the ground, but then you pull them out and they're actually have all this extra space under the ground. You break off the bulb, but because you don't have any leaves that die back, giving energy to the bulb is no good. The bulb is
and
just
even if
compost.
it does survive, it's not going to flower the next year if it did survive. But we were like, you know what? We have so many of them. We're Bo's back.
Bo's back. Guess who's back?
We have so many of them. Let's just dig a trench out front because we wanted some landscaping, and we'll just like put them in there, see what happens. And so a bunch of them came back this year, which is exciting.
Yeah, there's like lots of greenery.
Yeah.
And there's 1 or 2 small buds.
So that means that, like a lot of
Next
those ones next year, they'll like flower, and they're really cool. And this year, we have a lot of bulbs again. And so now maybe we'll just dig a big old trench. Maybe we'll be able to have like those beds, like it's like Holland or something, where it's just
I know, I was
an
thinking,
entire bed of tulips.
But I was also like, but who knows how long they'll last before the voles come and eat them all.
We're gonna have 10, 12,000 again next year, right?
Yeah, but if they don't bloom, right? So it might be one of those things where, like,
I don't know.
It's worth a try.
I'm excited about it because it'd just be like big
Ian
walls
likes
of color.
Ian likes digging holes.
Yep.
So
we don't have to do anything other than just dig a pit and put it in.
And I wouldn't even plant them. I just like empty.
Yeah, I pour them in. I turn them up. I turn them right ways.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take too long to do that.
Yeah.
You're gonna put the effort in. The garden starting, our landscape tulips are starting to open up. So the farm is starting to look pretty nice. And
I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but the cherries bloomed. This is like the week when it looks like just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because like the neighbors' cherry trees are all blooming, cherry blossom festival.
I'm hoping that I can get my drone up in the air this week. I bought the stuff I need to do the drone.
Yeah. Tell them about why you haven't had any drone shots, because that's entertaining to me.
I crashed our drone last year and I destroyed it. I was trying to do a shot because
Isn't that the second time?
I've crashed more than twice on the drone. But I was trying to do this shot for our documentary, and the thing about the documentary is the rules are a lot different filming for TV than they are for filming for YouTube. And basically, anytime that you film anywhere, you need all of these like permissions from so to film at the farmers market for our documentary, we needed permission from the farmers market, but we also needed permission from the landowners where the farmers market is. And it's just like you need permission from the people that are in the videos, all this type of stuff. So I was trying to get this shot that I kind of do from a different angle, but I film it from one of my neighbor's properties, is where the drone's actually over. And I was like, I want that same sort of feel for the shot, but I want to do it from our property. So I kind of switched it around and I took it from a different angle. And I was paying so much attention to getting this perfect shot that I didn't look, and I put it right into a tree, way up in the tree. It's probably 50 feet up where it got stuck, or 40 feet up. And I was like, is bummed, because it was a nice drone. It was a Mavic 2 Pro, so they're not cheap, and the drone, I think it adds a little bit to the videos, but it's not really like, it adds some vibe, and it's beautiful, and it's a fun way to start the video. And I like kind of like integrating the music with a little like drone montage. I get really into that. So personally, it's rewarding to have the drone footage to use. But it's not really story. It doesn't really make the videos more engaging, really. And so, I was like, okay. But this year, I got another one, and I was actually like, this is just a personal being mad story. But DJI, I bought this like flight controller for it, so it's got like the screen on it instead of having to use your cell phone. My cell phone's always in my pocket, and when it had to hook up by the the wired connection, the Type-C connection just always had dirt in it, and so I was having problems using the flight controller with my cell phone. So I spent hundreds of dollars to buy this controller that had a
really? It was
screen.
Hundreds of dollars?
Yeah, the screen built into it. And
this is why I'm allowed to spend $10,000 on peonies.
Yeah, and it was
Ian also spends lots of money too.
Well, this controller was supposed to be, they advertised it as being like, it was going to be compatible with future releases. And then the very first replacement to the DJI Mavic Pro 2, the Mavic 3, it wasn't compatible with this flight controller, and you know, I was bummed because I liked using the controller. It was way easier than using the cell phone stuff. But now I got another one on order, and I got a new memory card on order as well. You got to get, you know, fancy memory cards to be able to write the data.
I like to spend lots of money on bulk buying, and Ian likes to spend lots of money on camera equipment.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's fun to have a hobby job that you enjoy.
Hobby job. Hobby job. A job you enjoy.
The jobby. You know, maybe this is a job now, but at one point this was a hobby.
The YouTube?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a video.
You always
If you go into the way back machine called scrolling through all the videos we've ever made, I have a video like from the first year that we're making YouTube that is, I think it's called like Never Say This on YouTube, or like something like that is the title, and it's about the fact that I'm only doing it for the money.
Yeah. But that's not entirely true. We definitely started YouTube with the intentions of
treating it as a business.
As a business, and that's part of the reason why I think we've been able to be successful, because we're honest with ourselves about what we want from YouTube. Lots of people do YouTube and they're like, I don't actually want to ever make money. I'm just doing it so that one person watches. You know, if I can get through to one person, then that's good enough for me. But you know, for us, we don't want to just.
Yeah, if I wanted one person to watch me talk, I'd go hang out with a friend.
Yeah.
I'd go for coffee.
It's a lot less work. YouTube takes so much time, right? To make that, you know, you want it to be, to provide value to a larger group of people, and so you know, it was intended to be a job. We intended it to have a future where it would be monetarily able to compensate us for.
I mean, we're in a live video. This is when we do backstory. Should we tell the story? So
we told it before, but we can tell it.
Yeah, we did. We tell the story all the time. How we started doing YouTube.
Yeah.
So I started an Instagram account, and
what was that Instagram account called?
You can't eat the grass.
Oh, really?
And so I'm like so behind. I'm like the worst at tech. I'm like so bad at tech, and like so like all technology. I'm a very late adapter for technology. And so when we started the Instagram account, I didn't have a cell phone. I had to borrow Ian's cell phone because Instagram, you couldn't use a computer for Instagram. You had to like use like a tablet or a cell phone. Excuse me. And so to do Instagram, I had to borrow Ian's cell phone to be able to post and engage. And so we started an Instagram account because we were like, oh, no one wants to see our garden, and we like want to show off our garden. So we're like, oh, well, we'll start this Instagram account so that we can like show off our garden, because like we can't convince anyone to come and like look at our garden ever. We were like, oh, hey, like come see what our backyard looks like to like our neighbors, and they're like, no, I don't care. And so we started and then we had a picture, I think, of rhubarb. We had like had this massive rhubarb plant, and so we took a picture of. No, it was garlic because it was you.
Yeah, eventually, but.
Yeah, so we had this picture of me like with an armful of rhubarb that like that got shared, because I don't know how back in the day the way that like, you know, you could spread things was you get like regrammed on other people's accounts, and that would like grow you.
Yeah. And you perform well on a hashtag, and you get attention from that.
I don't know. But so we had this one picture and it did really well. And then we did a picture where we harvested all of our garlic, and then Ian's holding all the garlic. And that one did like even better, and it got shared on one of these accounts. And then one of our friends contacted us and was like, why are you in California at like my friend's like farm? And we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, I saw you on my Instagram. And he was doing like YouTube,
Yeah.
and farming. His name, I don't know, what does he go by now? Is it Curtis Stone or
Yeah.
the urban farmer? He used to be the urban farmer. I think maybe he's like,
He does like homestead content
Curtis Stone now. But yeah, so he contacted us and he was like, you guys need to do YouTube. He's like, what are you doing? You guys need to do YouTube, because he'd been going around for the last, I don't know, how many years was he telling everyone to do YouTube for?
I don't know, he'd been doing it for
He'd been
handful at 5 years at that point or something.
really
4 years?
no, really that far?
I don't know, he's been, because it would have been
Like, so he's been doing YouTube
2016.
for
Didn't he start
a-
around 2011?
a decade?
I think so.
Really?
We've been
crazy.
doing it for 6 years.
We've been doing it for 6 years. I know that. Anyways, he'd been telling everyone to do YouTube, and everyone was ignoring him. But he's like, you guys have to do YouTube. What are you doing? You do YouTube. And so we're like, okay, like, he says that there's like a business to this YouTube thing. And so we were like, okay.
Yeah.
But we went into it knowing it was going to take a lot of time. I was like, I refuse to do it until we have a conversation with him about like how much work it actually is.
Yeah.
And he lied. He said, oh, it's not that much work.
YouTube was
wrong.
different back then.
I mean, like, he did lie, but he was also like, yeah, it takes me like 4 to 8 hours to make a video. And I make like a couple a week. Like, he was like working a lot.
Guess who's back?
Bo is back to knock over the tripod.
Bad
But yes,
boy.
so that is how we started doing YouTube, because our friend who was successful told us to do it. And I think because of that, right, like I wasn't like, oh, I want to share my garden, so I'm going to make a YouTube channel. The YouTube was, the Instagram was the doing it for fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the YouTube was like okay, let's try to make a business out of this.
But the thing about, like, because Kurt, he did really focused content. It would be like, here's how you harvest and process carrots, or here's how you wash, lettuce. Here's how you grow turnips.
Yeah, because it was like how to farm.
Yeah, and it would be a specific, very, and it was very informational. It was quick, concise, professional, and it, nobody was really quite doing that in the way that he did it.
I would say that we share something in common with Kurt, which is that we don't we're not interested in hiding any of the information behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't believe in trade secrets, basically.
Yeah, we're putting it out there.
Yeah. We want people to like know like what we're doing so that they can take that information and do better themselves. Right? And I don't necessarily think that that's true for everyone.
No.
And it definitely was potentially less true at the time because there was less people who were like these content creators.
Yeah.
So the fact that Kurt was, willing, if he wanted to answer your questions about how you can do what he was doing, and then pairing that with like making good content.
Yeah. But, walking away from that, because, Kurt knew what he was doing so much. He was very business minded as well. Every year he'd cut crops like crazy out of his, I'm not growing this anymore, I'm not growing that anymore because it doesn't make money.
Yeah.
And so
everyone loves
he was
growing tomato. I know I always say this, but I think it's a great story. Everyone loves growing tomatoes here because there's no tomato disease. We have a really long season. Like it's one of the easiest places in the world to grow tomatoes. And pretty early on in his farm, Kurt decided he wasn't growing tomatoes anymore. And it was like, what do you mean you're not growing tomatoes? And he's like, no one's making money on tomatoes. He's like, I tracked the hours and like I tracked the sales. No one's making money on tomatoes. Everyone is losing money on tomatoes. And, you know, I remember being like it was really shocking, because it's easy to make these emotional decisions in your businesses, right? And to be able to see that this thing that seems an obvious good idea to everyone else, the ability to see that it's actually a really bad idea for everyone, was really powerful for me, right? And, you know, like that story of like Kurt has kind of been like a guiding, like I keep that in my mind always on the farm. I'm like, I'm always asking myself, are these tomatoes? Mm-hmm. Am I letting my like passion for this crop make me forget that I'm losing money on it?
Yeah. And so one of the things that I walked away from, like after I talked to Kurt about it, was thinking that, you know, Kurt is like, his content is pure information, right? It's just like, this is how you do it. This is a how-to video. There's nothing else to it, except, you know, like he did it really professionally, so it was like it was fun to watch, and it didn't drag, but it wasn't like you're watching it for, you know, the personality or anything like that. And for us, I was like, I think that we're going to be different. I think that our content has to skew more towards like entertainment. It has to have a certain entertainment value, and then
we took the dance monkey dance approach to content creation, right?
Yeah. and I was like, you know, as time went on, is, you know, I kind of realized that the knowledge that we can share is different, and it can kind of it can be shared because the content is entertaining and it's fun for people to watch, so they're there. And then when you're, you know, 15 minutes deep into a video or something, and then you go to share something about how you harvest this or how you arrange that or whatever it is that, you know, you want to share, people are already engaged and watching and interested, and so then that knowledge or that idea kind of hits home a little better, and because it's entertaining because it's entertaining content, it makes it so that, you know, YouTube has an easier time pushing it out to people. So, you know, maybe more people are watching at 15 minutes to get that, you know, juicy bit of information than if you'd made a how-to video and, you know, 10% of the people got 10% of the views because, you know, it's not entertainment and people aren't looking for it. So, you know,
like our hope is that every video, like all the vlogs are entertaining, even if there isn't anything that is going to help you personally, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the goal is to have, you know, have it be a good time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then, you know, I call it the spoonful of sugar, like Mary Poppins helps medicine go down. You know, like it's like, oh, if we can, like, you know, add like information in to the entertainment, you know, then that's like a bonus, right? But one thing that, like, so I was going to kind of change the subject. So one thing that we're like hoping to do this year, right? So we said, like, we have the employee so that it'll give us a little bit more time to not have, you know, because the farm is a beast, is a time consuming monster. So we're hoping with the employee that we'll be able to have like a little bit more time to give to the YouTube. And so our goal is to...
Oh, thanks, Anthony.
Here, let's see. thanks for all your help in being responsive to my DMs about ranunculus and shade cloth. It helped me with my own garden. What is the tomato of flowers? Oh, well, I have the answer to that. Dahlias. Yeah. Dahlias are the tomato of flowers because they take so much labor, right? Because they're just pure labor. You have to like save the tubers all winter and then they die and you have to wash them and prune them and clip them and pre-sprout them and then you plant them and then you have to stake them and you have to fuss with them and do all these million things and then they bloom finally and you have like one single flower and you're like, yay, you know. And even I know they produce more than one flower, but the amount of flowers that they produce is not like exponential, and the amount of space that they take up is so much that I'm convinced the only way you can make money on dahlias is through selling tubers, and the cut flowers only help you like break even on the labor at best case scenario. But
you know, they don't grow super good for us here, so
yeah, you know, in places where you can leave them in the ground to overwinter, and like, you know, I imagine like the Pacific Northwest dahlias are great where you can leave them out for the winter. You don't have to worry, like maybe they need a mulch, and then you don't have the heat that they don't like, you know, and you have a nice long growing season. But I think most people are losing money on dahlias, but they love them so much that they don't know it.
But you know, our goal.
Oh, okay, sorry. Like, so, I know. Okay, the thing that I was trying to say is, so what we want to do is we want to make 2 videos a week. Our goal is one of the things that we've been wanting to share with all of you guys, and we just haven't had the capacity to do it, is, and you've asked for it, is we want to share more of what's happening on the farm, right? Because the market vlogs, they make it seem like it's just like, oh, like all these beautiful flowers, and then you go to the market and that's like such a tiny amount of what the farm is. Just because we run, you know, we can't, it's already a half an hour to show that. We can't make it an hour long to show you all the extra stuff. So, you know, what I'd really like this year is to be able to make some like day in the life type vlogs, where we show you, you know, like we're working on a vlog, filming a vlog because we're in a heat wave. So the video's all about things that we do to battle the heat, right? And so, you know, it's a different type of story, and there's maybe even like more education to it. But I think it would be really interesting for all of you guys. And then the other thing that I would like us to get into the flow of doing, which, yeah, a 6 hour long video of weeding.
Come weed with me.
Yeah, come weed with me. And then, oh, weeding's done. Let's finish it off with a quick 2 hour bucket washing session. Like, hashtag day in the life of a flower farmer. No, but then the other thing, because we were talking about like answering questions and like information, right? The other thing that we'd like to do is we'd like to do some shorts this year, because you guys often in the comments, right? Like, we don't respond to the comments because we don't have time, but we try to read every single comment. And if there's like a question, I try to answer it, like if I have time. But we get tons of amazing questions all the time in there and like over on Instagram, and we would like to be able to make those videos, right? They don't need to be a 10-minute long video to answer a question. You know, the shorts are great. We can make a 30-second or 60-second long video answering your specific questions. And then, you know, like what Ian was saying, where only 10% of people are actually interested in the answers to that question. You know, but it can be there, right? We can have it available, you know, and once we have a collection of them, you know, we could even like repackage them to be like, you know, here's the collection of, you know, all your questions about this specific topic.
Yeah. So the basic concept is, you know, we're going to try to branch out a little bit and do some other types of content. today is only the first day with our employee showing up, and it was kind of partially an introductory day. So
I mean, like, we're so far behind.
Yeah.
we need to get caught up.
We need to get caught
from
up.
being sick.
Yeah, but once we do, that's when hopefully, like, we'll just have to work hard for a little while to get all caught up, and then once we do, things will hopefully start rolling at the pace that we want them to, and
like it's an adjustment period to go from making one video a week, which already was like, that was our limit, to doing 2 and then other things.
It's not the same person.
Yeah, so we have a couple questions here.
The previous person who worked for us, like, we knew it was just going to be a year because she was planning on moving away, and she was pregnant when she worked for us. So, she was going on mat leave, and then she was going to move away from Kelowna. So, it was a chance for us to see her because she had been a friend for a long time. So it was kind of like a nice time to spend time with her before she left. But we knew that we weren't going to be able to keep her past that. And then,
which actually worked out well, because it was great having her, but we weren't ready for an employee.
Yeah.
So, like, we needed to not have an employee.
Yeah.
Last year.
And then, we're not really going to say anything about our new employee. We haven't had
we need to talk to her about
the conversation, because, I don't like putting cameras in people's faces. I don't mind putting a camera in my own face or in Serina's face, but I don't want to put.
Roxy wants to be in the video.
She's like, I know you're over there. I know you're.
She can hear us talking. She's like, come pet me.
But I feel like sometimes if we were to be like, oh, hey, you want to be in a video, and we got a camera there, somebody might be like, okay, and say yes when they don't actually mean yes. And so, I'm very hesitant to put cameras in people's faces, because I just don't want to put anybody outside of their comfort zone. There's people that have made it known that they would gladly be in our videos, and that's fine. Like, but until somebody expresses more than just, yes, I'm okay if you put, if I'm in your video, if it's like, oh, like, yeah, I'd love to be in your video, that's like, okay, fine.
Like my friend Heather, who was helping us last year.
Yeah.
She likes being in the videos, right? And so we had her in the videos a few times, right?
Yeah.
But
it'll probably be the type of thing where, she's going to be in the background, and
yeah, like, who knows? Like, we'll talk to her.
Yeah. Roxy.
You're just encouraging her.
I know. That's what I'm doing on purpose. We should...
She's literally calling for us. Okay, here, wait. So, okay, I'll tell you what. You go.
Yeah.
I will do 15 minutes of questions with you guys for the end here. But then I need to go because I don't have much of a voice.
Yeah.
So we need to guard my ability to continue speaking. But
yeah, it was nice. It was nice catching up with you guys. I have to go inside and just get the kids on schedule, because they're supposed to be in bed in a half hour.
Yeah.
And it's always a fight when the days are this sunny. So.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean it's bedtime? It's not dark out.
Like, look outside.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, we live in Canada. In the summer, it's like, doesn't get dark until like 10:30.
Bye.
Okay, let's see. There was a couple questions. Where in Canada do you live? We live in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. Do you use BioCoat, gold root dip, or anything like that? So no. I've heard people talking about it. I think it's like a fungicide. Or no, there's one that's like a fungicide that I've heard people talking about, and then there's another one that is like I don't know, like a bacteria or something, that like a beneficial thing like organism of some sort that helps like grow things. But in general, we don't really use anything, right? Like, this is like a question that we get asked a lot, which I like I've answered, people are like, oh, like how do you fertilize the stuff? And we don't really fertilize things. And with with the flowers, there's some stuff that I'm like, oh, this would probably do better if I fertilized a little bit. So our goal this year is to do a little bit of fertilizing. We have like a liquid fertilizer, and we did a foliar feed on the ranunculus and the anemones this week, because we're hoping, and we were planning on doing it 2 weeks ago before we got sick, but we wanted to kind of give a couple fertilization, I don't know what the word is, but fertilize them a couple times before they started blooming to kind of see if that would get more blooms, right? Because if doing that kind of stuff gets more crop for us, then it makes the crops more profitable for us, and then this time and money spent on fertilizing makes sense. Up until this point, we haven't really been worried. The plants have been healthy enough. They produced more, like we've always had more than we could sell. So like we don't use, if we have bugs, we don't do anything, right? We don't use organic or synthetic pesticides, fungicides, that kind of stuff. We just, we're like, sure, it's dying. I have a little bit, we struggle a bit in early spring, late fall with fusarium, which is like a mold that, and they happen, right? Like high humidity, low temperatures, and it happens, and Lysianthus is extra susceptible to it. So I have a little bit of it in my greenhouse. But I'm also like, we're so dry that a lot of like that fungus type stuff, the weather heats up and then we just don't have to deal with it. And my approach is always, path of least resistance. Like what are the easiest crops? Like instead of figuring out how to fertilize a fussy crop, I'd be like, this crop's kind of, difficult. Why don't I grow something more simple to grow, that's going to be more successful for me? So I know that's kind of the very long-winded version of that question. Any idea where we got the COVID? Yeah, I don't know. 5 days before I hosted the garden club, and so we did like a potting up thing, so maybe someone had it there. But my daughter, she didn't get sick at all, but she tested positive, right? So when I got sick, we then tested all of them, and then she tested positive too, and even though she wasn't sick, so she could have gotten it from school and then spread it to us, and we didn't know that she had it because she wasn't sick at all. But yeah, it's very contagious. How are the tulips doing? So we currently have a heat wave, and so the tulips are like blowing open like crazy. My cooler is like getting very, very full. I'm running out of things to store them in. I have all these boxes that I save, but they're all full, and so I'm like emptying crates of tulips to fill up. And I'm like, oh, we gotta sell some of these to make some space. Excuse me. But yeah, so we're all the early varieties outside of the tunnel are starting to bloom, and the greenhouse are almost finished. And like we have some showing of, so the video that we have coming out this Friday shows them starting in the tunnel. The vlog is about us like getting sick, and then the tulips starting, and us like trying to like get better so that we can get back to the farm. And then like next week, the week after, we have like for the farmers market and stuff that we have to edit up and get back on top of. So we have filming, we got lots of stuff. Okay, let's see. How much does your shade cloth cost on your largest greenhouse, and what UV block amount do you have for the shade cloth? Okay, so shade cloth is super expensive. The shade cloth is as much money as the greenhouse plastic. We bought 50 feet, right? So it's like exactly the size of the tunnel, right? The greenhouse plastic that we have up, they're like 75 feet, right? Because it's like 25 extra feet on either end to be like doors, or no, like 12 feet, right? But yeah, so the shade cloth was exactly 50 feet, and I think it was about $500 each. We spent a little bit more money to get a white shade cloth, because what we want it for is to make things as cool as possible. And so we were thinking that the white would be worth it to help, which is keeping the temperature down. I know that like the white, it also can like block different like there's like a whole science to it about how it blocks different light rays, so different crops want different things. But the main thing we use the shade cloth for is to make sure that it's that it is, sorry, it's just like disappeared out of my mind. The shade cloth is to make sure that it's just cooler and shady, right? Like we have like pure sun. We like the UV here is insane, because it's clear and there's no humidity. So, you know, it's just the sun rays just come and like cook you. You know, it can be really shocking to people. Like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm fine being out in the sun, you know, and then you come here and you're like, I thought I was fine until I experienced this sun. It's crazy. So yeah, so it really helps. It's a 50% shade cloth. I'm pretty sure. Like, so it blocks 50% of the light. It might be 60, so like blocks 40%. But you know, it was a pretty heavy, because I think, yeah, I don't know, it's something in there, because there was another one that kind of blocked like a third, and one was more like a half and one was more like a third, and we got the one that was like a half. And so, you know, the problem with the tunnels, which we love, the tunnels are great. We have been talking about getting even more of them. The tunnels only really gain you like 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. And for us here, we're talking about, you know, stopping at Canadian Thanksgiving, which is like mid-October for selling flowers, just because it gets really, you know, really slow. There's kind of this window after Thanksgiving where people aren't really doing anything before they kind of start up on Christmas stuff into the beginning of December. So, you know, it makes sense for us to not focus on selling the fresh flowers past that point. So it's not like we're trying to push as late as possible in the season. Because I'm sure if we wanted to, if we really tried, we could use tunnels and we could probably have fresh flowers until December most years. Last year was crazy, but but instead we're not doing that. And so for us, a huge value of the tunnels is to be able to make shaded space. And for the flowers, you know, having less light means they get taller, like they get way taller. Having them in the tunnels so that they're blocked from any sort of wind, means that the stems can grow even taller too, right? The wind comes and like blows the stems, and so it makes it so they have to be shorter and stronger so that they don't blow over in the wind. But because they're in the tunnel, they never get the wind that tells them to be shorter and stronger, so they stretch and stretch and stretch. Yeah, it's really impressive what the shade cloth on the tunnels in the summer can do for us for crops. You know, this year, so we have Lisianthus that'll be in the tunnel in the summer, and then we're trying dahlias. After I said dahlias are a bad idea for flower farmers, I'm giving them one last try. We're planting dahlias in the tunnel. I'm gonna plant them in June. And this is another video I need to make. I have a dahlia unboxing. I got all these amazing dahlias that are in my fridge, because the plan is I'm going to plant them in June because I want them to flower in September and October. I don't even want them to flower in the summer. And then they're going to be in the tunnel. Dahlias are very frost sensitive. So when the frosts start to come, they'll be in the tunnel. They'll be good to go. And so we'll see. We'll see if that maybe gets us some success with the dahlias. But yeah, things like snapdragons, they love the tunnel. You know, all these spring crops, they kind of go until, you know, July in the tunnels if you plant them early enough. And then you can kind of empty them out, and then you can overwinter stuff too. Yeah, I love the tunnels. Worth the extra money on white and grommets for installation. We didn't get grommets because it's just draped. This is a shade cloth, I'm assuming. So the shade cloth is longer than the tunnel, right? Our tunnel is like 16 feet. So I think so 16 feet across, and then when it has the arch, I think we had to buy like a 25-foot fabric, right? Because if we got 20 feet, it would have been too short. So the tunnel comes, and then with the shade cloth, and then it pools on the bottom. And we have no wind, right? Here, so the shade cloth, even if there is some wind, it lets the wind through, so it doesn't push and pull on it quite as much. But yeah, we spent the extra money for the white because we want it to cool things as much as possible. Let's see, someone's asking about cocoa marigolds. How tall do the seedlings get? Do we plant them? How about spacing? Okay, so I do 3 across on my 30-inch beds, and then 9 inches for the marigolds last year. And I was happy with that. No, you know what? I think some of them I even did on my 4 across and then 6-inch spacing. And they were even fine. They do get big, so it doesn't hurt to give them some extra space. But even though they are big, you can cram them in there. How often do you clean, sterilize your harvest implements, and what do you do to do so? So I don't do it very often. So I do have disease concerns. But most of my disease concerns are being spread by grasshoppers. So grasshoppers are like total little disease factories. They're full of like a crazy amount of different plant viruses. And then they go and they chew on your plant, and then they spread the plant viruses. So mosaic viruses, there's like a gazillion different ones. My farm's full of that. It's part of the reason why I think that I have issues with the dahlias. I think my dahlias, in the summer, they get infected with mosaic virus, and then they stop producing into the fall, when in theory they should be starting to thrive as the nights cool down. And we have the Astor's yellow disease that gets spread like crazy by the grasshoppers. So I don't even want to try asters because I have so much of it. I won't grow echinacea because echinacea is really susceptible to it, and it really destroys the plants. I get it in my rudbeckia, but I kind of like what it looks like. It makes them like go green, and I'm like, ooh, look at these amazing rudbeckias. And then the rudbeckia, like I almost grow them as an annual. But yeah, but when I am doing stuff that like I'm being careful for sterilizing, I usually use like a rubbing alcohol to sterilize stuff. And then for like my snips, what I do is I use them until they get like all gummed up and they're not working properly, because I have like a million. I have like every time I go to the store, I buy 5 more. And then so when they get sticky, I throw them into the pile of like these ones are no good, and then I go get a new one. And then once my pile fills up, I use like a cleaner to like clean all the sticky sap and grease and stuff off. And then I have like a food safe lubricant that I like oil them all up with, and then they get put into the good pile. You know, the rotation continues. And one thing I've been meaning to put as part of that workflow is sharpening the snips. So the snips, they're not very expensive, and they don't really hold, like they're dull. They're not super sharp. They're not the same as like a pruning shear. But yeah, so like, but if I sharpen them, it would be nice. You know, I don't want them like so sharp that I'm cutting myself on them, but I do want it so they're actually cutting the flowers and not just mashing everything. But yeah, I think that's all the questions. And I have to go. Yeah, so thanks so much for hanging out, guys. There's a bunch of you here. We always appreciate that when you come and hang out for these live videos. I'm always amazed how many of you watch them. Because they're just us rambling quite often. Okay, so for content that we have coming up, we're working on a video that shows like, how to use the Swift blocker. Like more of a how-to type video, because like we're really excited about that. And then we have the vlog of us being sick that will come out on Friday. I'm sure we'll get that done and get that one scheduled. And then we have a bunch of other stuff that we're working on. But yeah, so stay tuned. And I don't know. I don't know if we'll do a live video next week, but if not, we'll do the one after that. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next time.